Good morning and welcome back. What does it mean to heal? Sometimes it means to cry. Sometimes it means to laugh. Sometimes it means to be angry. Sometimes it means to be happy. Sometimes it means doing that thing that you've been holding off for so long. Sometimes it means just resting, sleeping in a little bit longer, waking up a little bit earlier. Healing is not something you do as much as it is something you allow. I've done a lot of healing in my life, and I've seen that healing is not a practice. It's not a new routine, although it can come in that form. But initially, it's in allowing. It's in allowing. When you heal, you move beyond what you think is good and what you think is bad, and you see what is. You look at, for me, and that's one of the things you start to say. You start to say to yourself, well, for me, in my life, what is it that I want? What is it that I need right now? We have been taught for so long to suppress some of the deeper desires that are inside of us. We have been taught to not let them be, or taught to label them as bad or crazy or weird, and nobody wants to be weird, except today it's a lot more acceptable. But nobody wants to be the one that stands out as the oddball, because that brings a certain type of attention to you. Then again, people like me don't mind being the oddball. There are some of us that have a lot of courage. And that is healing as well. Healing is allowing your uniqueness, I'll say, to come forth. You see, for me, in my approach, in my life, something that I've had even before a spiritual awakening is this understanding that the more I allow myself to be who I am, and that includes those odd, strange moments in my life where I do something that most people would not want to do. I do them. I allow myself to be just a little bit more weird than most people. And I've always done this because I understand that in this society that we live in, people try to show a certain refined version of their personality. They often don't show exactly who it is that they are. They have a persona that they show when they're in public and when they're with their friends, certain people. So I've always shown that weirder side inside of me to most people, nearly everyone, in different levels, in hopes that the people that I'm around can give themselves permission to be a little bit more weird too, to let that weirdness that's already there come out. Healing is letting all of your aspects come to the surface. Healing is physical, mental, emotional. It's on all the levels. Many people get a massage, will do yoga, will put a block of time aside specifically for their own healing. And that's great. A lot of people won't even do that. A lot of people will work themselves into the earth, into their grave. They'll work themselves to death, basically. And if it's not at a job, it'll be at home. They'll clean, clean, clean. And in a sense, that's healing too. Let me explain. When you're working yourself to death, you're obviously not doing anything positive as far as healing goes. But eventually, hopefully, when a person sees that what they're doing is ultimately harming them, that they'll come to their own conclusion that they need to change that lifestyle. And healing is coming to that realization that what I have been doing all this time is hurting me. And healing is allowing yourself to go through the process that ultimately leads to the point where you make that decision. So for some people, they need to go through that entire process. Some people need to go through to what us looks like madness in order for them to see the value of healing for themselves. Sometimes they don't realize that they need healing, and it's only when you hit rock bottom, and it was for me for certain aspects, that you realize that healing needs to now be your number one priority. To me, healing is a way of life. To me, healing and nurturing and love are all the same thing. To me, healing myself becomes an overflowing activity, overflowing thing. I can't think of the word. My healing overflows into me, out into the world. The more I heal myself, the more energy I feel. And that energy will go out into the people that I love, the strangers that I meet, and the situations that I find myself in. To me, healing is crying when I need to, even when I'm in the car and there's a bunch of cars around me and people can see me. By others seeing someone do such a courageous act as crying, especially as a man, in front of all these other people, is an ultimate permission slip that maybe not everyone around will ultimately use and cash in right away. For those people, it'll set a seed, and when the time is right, they'll learn to cry openly when it's needed. But there are going to be others that see it, and they'll be able to cash in that permission slip for themselves and say, you know what, that's a courageous person to be able to express his emotions in a society where a man is seen as weak when he cries, but everyone knows deep down inside that it takes an enormous amount of strength to show sadness and to cry, especially as a man in front of other people. Everybody knows deep down inside that that is very and extremely courageous. And those who are ready to recognize that immediately can cash in that permission slip. So they might start to express their emotions more openly. And that is healing. One of the most potent forms of healing is to allow all of your emotions to flow through you unchecked, unjudged, unsuppressed, without putting a lid on it just letting the emotion flow through you. I've been practicing this openly most of my life, almost all of my life actually, and especially for the last 4 years. And I can feel the difference, the huge, enormous difference that it makes, and it made so far in my life. There are moments in my life where I allowed myself to just cry or to just do exactly what I wanted to do while there were people around me. And then the overwhelming sense of freedom that I felt inside of me brought me to tears of joy. And those tears of joy are priceless. It's something you cannot put a price on. It's something that is impossible to buy. It's something that you cannot give another person, but someone can recognize what's happening in you when they see it. Unfortunately, in today's society, our world now, most people will say that person is crazy. Look at him crying and laughing at the same time for no reason. But even those people subconsciously know what's happening. They see it. They're only labeling and criticizing because it's a habit. And they don't want to be seen as crazy. To be seen as crazy or mad is a very bad thing in today's society. But only the really, truly mad people, the crazy ones, have that sanity, that deepest level of sanity. Even those people who are actually insane in insane asylums have a certain type of freedom that the so-called sane person wishes they had. I'm not saying become insane, but you know how they say you fall madly in love. There are certain things that you should express completely and not worry about what other people think. I leave you with that. Wherever you are around the world, whatever time it is that you're watching this video, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.